actually really weird, really interesting. So I kind of have to show you guys this one huge plot twist. Starts out nice and innocent, and then it's just a huge, huge plot twist. Anyways, so this mother, very sadly, her husband has died, and she has written a book about it, and now she's doing this interview to give a little context.
Joining us now is author of Are You With Me, Corey Richens, to share her 3 C's to helping kids cope with grief. And Corey, I want to start with your story. What happened in your personal life?
So my husband passed away unexpectedly last year. So it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us, and he was 39. It completely took us all by shock. And we have 3 little boys, 10, 9, and 6. And you know, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the different emotions and grieving processes that we've experienced last year, and you know, hoping that it can kind of help other kids, you know, deal with this and kind of, you know, find happiness some way or another.
Now, all of that seems relatively
Yeah, it seems relatively normal, very, very sad, but still relatively normal and innocent. That's gonna change pretty soon.
normal. Nice mom, talking about the book, seeming appropriately torn up as she's doing this press tour. Like, all the news articles about her were singing her praises. They were happily promoting this book. But less than a month after she did that interview, she was arrested for her husband's murder. Here's a headline from New York Post. Widow who wrote grief book after
And there's the plot twist. That just got dark so fast.
her husband died, charged with his murder. Now, obviously, this is an awful situation for their family, especially their kids, but the comments were absolutely wild, and rightfully so, because this woman is batshit insane.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
This person says, take a few minutes out of your everyday to fear women, and yes, and make sure that you marry the right.
Yeah, I guess the lesson, the moral that should be held for this specific episode is, men, well, and women, be very careful. Be very careful who you marry. My goodness.
Right one. That's the lesson here. I mean, seriously, guys, you cannot trust anybody. That is why having a VPN is
Oh, the transitions from Brett. They're always so great. Not my sponsor, though, so sorry, I have to skip it.
hopefully against crazy people like this. Another person said, next book, How I Almost Got Away with Murder.
So close.
Another person said, Netflix, when will this be on? I actually would love to watch this.
It does. It honestly sounds like the plot of like some sort of Netflix drama.
Not because I love true crime things, but because this woman is just a psychopath. It gets even crazier. Another person said, the absolute fake state of our society. Like, idiotic, psychotic, attention whore is the best way to sum up this woman. But the weirdest thing is, I don't know why it took law enforcement so long to connect her to this death. They were home together.
Honestly,
she had just gone under escrow for a new property for her business, apparently, so she brought her husband a
It's kind of dark, kind of sad, and sometimes it can even be a little insulting to her. She might be, if she didn't kill her husband, it might be a little insulting to her. She might be a little offended, but she should be one of the first people, if not the first person, to be investigated.
Moscow Mule in bed to celebrate. Oh no, her kid is having a bad dream, so she gets up and goes and consoles him, and she comes back and oops, her husband's dead.
I should have come up with a little bit of a better story than that. The crap was it? Of course they should especially be suspicious if that's the story.
Can't help but feel partially responsible.
She calls the police and everything's fine, and she just walks around for a year. When they did the autopsy not long after, it showed that he had 5 times the lethal amount of fentanyl in his system. Seriously, did nobody
A little overkill. Didn't have to do that much.
check her? I brought him a Moscow Mule. Did anybody think to check what was in the Moscow Mule? How did she walk around promoting a children's book for a year? And people did not realize this. Like, I'm not sure the timeline of all of this, but this is how they eventually caught on to her. This is from an article. It says, newly released court documents detailed a series of illicit fentanyl purchases in the months leading up to his death. Corey Richens, 33, allegedly bought the drugs from an acquaintance identified as CL in court documents. Weeks before her husband's death, Richens had marked Valentine's Day with a dinner at home. Shortly after the dinner, her husband, Eric, became very ill. Eric had told a friend that he thought his wife was
On Valentine's Day? My goodness, this woman is an absolute psycho.
trying to poison him.
There's something going on around here that just don't add up.
Corey Richins also tried to change a life insurance policy to make herself the sole beneficiary, according to a search warrant affidavit. Then they talked to her dealer, CL, and got his side of the story. CL told detectives that at some point between December of 2021 and February of 2022, Corey contacted CL and asked for prescription pain pills for an investor. CL said they obtained hydrocodone and left the pills at a property Corey was flipping, picking up cash left for them, the court document said. A couple weeks later, Corey Richins reached out again and asked for, quote, some of the Michael Jackson stuff, which is wild, according to court documents. Corey Richins allegedly went to CL's house around February 11th and paid $900 for 15 to 30 fentanyl pills that CL had obtained from a dealer. So she attempted to poison him once over Valentine's Day.
She doesn't even harp on that, but on Valentine's Day. My goodness.
Husband thought that he was poisoned, told a friend that, but it didn't work. Then she tried to make herself the sole beneficiary of the life insurance policy. That's not fishy at all. But all of that didn't work. So then, about 2 weeks later on February 26th, she allegedly reached out to CL for more fentanyl pills. CL left them at an outdoor fire pit at the same property where the hydrocodone had been delivered. Again, the money was left there for pickup. By this time, according to court documents, Corey Richins no longer owned the property. So then she poisoned him successfully at the beginning of March with the Moscow Mule fentanyl cocktail.
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Again, men, the lesson here is be careful who you marry. Because this is insane. Somebody said, look for
This
a
is
new...
not even honestly much of a political story. It's just a stupid, crazy one, holy cow.
Look, mommy's got to go to a new house. It's big and full of roommates. Another person said, who's going to write the next book to help them deal with the new trauma? Hopefully her, and she'll make millions in prison because that's the kind of crazy person she is.
Especially when you have kids, man. You have kids and you kill the father of your children? My goodness.
But like, seriously, how did this take them a year? Like, this should be a lesson in how flawed and slow our justice system is. Like, we're watching these stories unfold in Los Angeles and New York where people act in self-defense and suddenly they're charged with murder. But this woman walks around for an entire year, fake grieving, writing children's books, doing press tours, and nobody connects her to her husband's death when he already thought he had been poisoned once, when she hands him a fentanyl Moscow Mule cocktail. It's absurd. I don't know what kind of connection she had to clear her name at the beginning, but maybe that's what happened. I have absolutely no idea. I mean, maybe it was the investigators finally reading her book that did her in, because according to the reviews, it is dark. And both of these reviews are from before
That should be definitely one huge tell.
she was charged. So these are just people hating the book objectively. One person said, really didn't hit right. More than the first half of the book are dark thoughts and pictures. How does that help a child who is grieving? They'd be so depressed before they ever came to the words that were supposed to be supportive. Even those pictures and pages, the kids still looked miserable. Do not recommend for a grieving child. Plus, in a time when identity theft runs rampant, why in the world would you publish the real names of your children? Well, we know that because this woman is off her rocker. Another person said, reader beware. At first glance, this book seems to be a heartwarming way to help children deal with personal loss. Unfortunately, it missed the mark and instead portrays an almost creepy, haunting situation for children. Dealing with loss of a parent is one of the most difficult trials in anyone's life, and this is not the way to help children process. I also believe this can cause more anxiety for the child than release it. This is actually one of the creepiest children's book options you can find. Well, no shit!
Honestly, knowing all that information before, not only should you be suspicious, but personally, I think I would have the intuition to think, something ain't right with her. And she not only should be suspicious of that, we should probably think that she did it. And, well, I guess if I did think that, I would end up being right.
It's creepy and haunting. She's being charged with murder and writing a book pretending like she's not. Like, seriously, maybe they read this and were like, ooh, maybe we need to revisit the wife. It's just like sick and twisted. My heart goes out to these poor children and the poor grandparents of these children because their life has been utterly flipped upside down by this insane woman. Our justice system needs to work better and women need to not be so crazy.
Well, it's kind of I don't know, I had a pretty dark point, kind of sad point to make, but sure, it is now the woman's fault that these kids now have a crappy life, because now not only is their mother a psycho, but the father is dead. But also, if it wasn't for the woman, they wouldn't be alive. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of an unfair thought, but, whatever. I kind of had to make it as soon as I thought it. Anyways, do the outro now for everyone on YouTube. That was a crazy video.